They're the worst.
I thought this was the dumbest product. I
It's
thought
so good.
water in a can, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What did I say?
Why would I pay money? Why would I? It's so spicy.
It's so good,
It tricks
though.
my brain. It thinks it's claws.
I know.
Ah.
But also, it is easily recyclable. It's better than the water. Like,
And it
obviously,
tastes so
water in a
good.
plastic
It's
bottle
spicy
and stuff.
water.
I know. The still liquid death, also very good.
Delicious.
Unironically, just a fan.
I just need a little.
I literally just started buying it because it's a more recyclable option.
And I talked
for
so much
single-serve
shit.
water. I know you did. Everybody did. Like, everybody would make fun of me. Anybody that I told that
Even
I
at
drank
work,
liquid death, everyone would be like, what's the point? It's like so try hard. And like, first of all, don't come for me because I enjoy having a beverage option in public that isn't alcohol, but isn't like a fucking lukewarm cup of water
Or like
from
the little
bar.
baby ones. Like, I feel like a small child. Also,
Yes,
you can
with
just
a little. Well, yeah. Also, I'm gonna drink that in 2 seconds. So
No,
like having an
literally.
actual
I
like.
know. Something about being a tall boy just makes my.
And also, like, not everybody knows what liquid death is. And so if I'm, like, not in the mood to be like, oh, no, I'm sober tonight or whatever, then I can just have one of those and hold it, and people kind of leave you alone. Because they're like, oh, it must be like a weird
Have you ever
seltzer.
seen a liquid death in public?
Literally all the time.
Where?
That last concert that we went to, there was, like, a whole display of liquid death. Yes, I'm so serious.
Really?
Yes. I literally almost got one, but I was like, well, I do want a White Claw, so I'll get one of those instead.
Fair.
I'm telling you. Also, too, I feel like it's that thing when you like get something new or you like notice something and then you start seeing it everywhere.
Oh,
That's
no,
how I am
yes,
with liquid
exactly.
death
Oh,
now.
my God, I know. Yes.
Yes, where I'm like, oh, it's everywhere now.
Our brain, it's so crazy how our brain does that. Like, I'll never, like, especially with the vehicle and stuff, like, never had seen one before.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's one.
There's
There's
another
a
one.
friend. And then I'm like,
Yes.
see, you got to figure out that. Yeah.
Yes, our brain does that with like trauma and insecurities too. Did you know that?
Wow, way to switch that. This is how this is like real life, how having a nice, casual, fun, flirty conversation. It's like, hey, did you actually know, by the way?
Okay, but that's true.
I feel like that's how our therapist is sometimes. They're like just slowly ruining all media because it's like, actually, in this one thing, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know, just kidding.
Shout out to don't say his
I
code
was-
name.
I was-
Don't say his code name.
was
We call
about
our we have a name for our
therapist,
couples therapist.
in my opinion, our couples therapist.
Don't say who they look like.
Is a dead ringer for a particular celebrity.
A very beautiful celebrity.
Yes, but we don't obviously call them by that name. But in
we call them by their name.
Yes, in our own like private time, we refer to them as this other
Private
name.
time. Our time outside of therapy. So the other.
Yeah, private time.
Private time.
Anyways, all right. Are we ready to
Oh,
get
absolutely.
into it?
Welcome to the set. Welcome to the podcast.
Yay! I know I haven't really been able to talk about it yet because all the videos I've made on the set so far have been a little situationally inappropriate to talk about it.
What does that mean?
Like the Colleen Ballinger video.
That's going to come out at some point. That's
well, yeah, no, but I mean, it just feels weird to be like,
Oh, no,
yay,
no, I know.
look at my new set. And
Oh, yeah,
also like,
meanwhile, like,
yeah, let me talk
talking
about
about-
this subject that's like very heavy. But I am genuinely so excited for our new space.
Me too. I love it. We did such a good job. I picked
know.
I picked
You
a lot. Also, fax machine the other day. I forgot about this whole debacle with this.
Oh, yes.
Outwit, outwest,
Outwit.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
this
It's been
was-
so long.
Some of this
Outwit.
shitty artwork is artwork that I literally made
Throwback.
on stream.
I know. I forgot about
during
that.
our 10,000 subscriber
Oh my God.
celebration.
You're
which is
old.
wild.
You're
but also
old.
too, it wasn't that long ago. It just like
It feels. Yeah. I
the
guess
like
it really wasn't.
exponential
Yeah.
growth thing is such a trip to like
I
wrap your
know.
mind around.
Which one's your favorite? Also, I love some of the ones that you made. Honestly,
I really love the gender outlaw one. Shout out
Oh,
to
so
Ed
good.
Prelin because it's so good. And
I know
it's
all
so
of his
cute.
art style. I love
I
their art
know.
style, or I don't know what their.
Actually, no, I do really love the cowgirls that we
I
found at
picked
the
that. I
thrift
found
store.
that. I found that. I found that.
Aaron found it
I
at
was
the thrift
digging
store.
through the thrift stores we have here, and I would love to go
Oh,
thrifting.
so interesting.
That's about to be a vaguely therapeutic episode because
Yes.
I need to know
Travel
what
thrifting.
thrifting looks like in other states
Say
because
less.
it can't all because all of ours is either like weird,
Yes.
veteran,
Yes.
super racist memorabilia that they
Yes.
got while they were overseas,
Yep.
or like.
People who have
old
like an inappropriate fascination
desert,
with another culture
or like
in an
collect- but,
appropriative
like,
way.
weirdly expensive collectible stuff.
Yes.
Like
Lots
we
of
were
collectible
thrifting,
stuff.
and there's a $14,000 cabinet.
Yep.
From some
From another
beautiful
country that was like, yeah.
French or like
It was a European country.
I don't. Yeah, it was
remember what it
gorgeous.
was. Yeah.
But also, I'm not looking to spend 14 grand. I don't even.
Literally.
I don't. If
Like,
we put
why
all
would
the
I?
furniture in our house,
No.
all the furniture we bought together,
Yes.
in our combined experience as a married couple, we
Yes.
still would not have had. $14,000.
$14,000.
I would literally not. I'd like, don't even look at it.
You know
if
what
you come
it-
to my house, don't like close your eyes.
You know what it reminded me of?
Tell me.
That TikTok I showed you where someone was making fun of celebrities who have these like weird flexes with their wood furniture.
The wood.
Like this
wood is
dining room table is made from a
14th
monastery
century.
in 14th century France. Yeah, it was like that thing. Like this cabinet was in Marie Antoinette's fucking dressing room. Like that's
it just feels like a weird. It's the weird flex thing.
It is.
It's the weird.
It is, and I'm not like disrespecting it because
they look good.
I appreciate it. You know,
totally.
And also too, I think if we had fuck off money like that, and I found a cabinet at a thrift store that was $14,000, but I just aesthetically really liked it, I'd be like. You know, but like that's just like a level of fuck off money that like I don't know that we'll ever possess.
The level of money you could use to go down to the bottom of the ocean and.
Don't bring that energy here, sir. Don't bring that up.
Sorry,
here.
There's so many current events since
I know.
So initially, I guess should we give people a little background?
Yeah.
So the podcast started on Patreon.
Yes, but it was different.
It was different. It was vaguely therapeutic.
Now used to be the podcast, except that we sort of retooled it to be like eye bleach, like fun content for the channel.
Yeah.
And so
basically, vaguely therapeutic slowly became my my little project,
your passion project. But also too because I think when we were doing vaguely therapeutic on the Patreon, it ended up turning into like recycled main channel content, and we were both feeling very emotionally fatigued by like just rehashing the same actually very heavy stuff over and over and over again. And so it sort of gradually turned into like lighter stuff because I was like, God damn it, like I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to be like fucking trudging through.
Well, especially when you do a heavy video for the regular channel.
Yes.
And
yeah. And so we were like, okay, well if it's gonna be fun fuck off content and like, you know, it doesn't need to be so serious and like why are we like trying to force it to be something that it's not. So it just kind of like morphed into...
It's the fun, happy, fun playlist times.
Yes, it's the fun, happy, fun times.
I bleach.
Anytime I give you guys a trigger warning on the channel now and I point to this playlist up here,
that's one.
That's what it is. It's vaguely therapeutic.
And then, so now so when we were discussing doing the podcast again, what did we...
So to me, I think the like original goal that we had in wanting to have a podcast together is like making mental health topics like real, because we talk about it a lot on the channel in theory and like in terms of like evidence-based practice.
The book
and there's like a
learning.
lot of educational content, which like I'm obviously very passionate about. I think it's a thing that should exist on the internet because it like doesn't in the way that we make it a lot of times, because I do still want it to be like approachable, obviously, and not like educational in like the very sterile way.
Yes.
But I think there's a big difference between educational content and like in practice, like learned experience.
Which is why we like the Reacts Media and stuff so much, because I feel like it's like a way to like actually, especially like the dating shows and stuff. I know, albeit a horrible and extreme,
exploitative,
often, and problematic version of many things.
But still,
yes,
I think the goal that I have, like when we were talking about, you know, do we want to revisit a podcast and like actually like do the damn thing? Is that I want to use like storytelling, mostly from our own lives, but also maybe from some other people.
They don't even know.
I know, you guys don't know yet, but there's some fun stuff coming, hopefully.
Oh, it's coming.
But I want to use storytelling as a vehicle to talk about mental health and therapy and like healing and like identity work and all this stuff, like as it actually plays out in real life, or at least like in our lives, in the lives of our like because us and like maybe other people.
Well, and I think especially too, like as the difference between going to therapy and then putting those tools and skills to work are two very different things. And I think too, having also like it's one thing to go to therapy and like go through the work and like do it and do the thing, but like it is a whole nother level of commitment to like use those tools and like
actually like be able to put them into practice in a situation that's not this like careful container of therapy.
Right? Because basically everything, especially like that was the thing we talked about with being polyamorous, is that basically everything we had discussed and planned out and mapped out and like what if and what, you know, basically did not happen. And it was all the other things that we did not plan for. Thanks, childhood trauma.
No, literally.
But no, it's like such a different beast. Having it like in real ass life.
Yeah. And I think also too, the aspect of like, things happening on the fly, because like when your therapist asks you like how do you want to respond to that or what's coming up for you, whatever, like you have all this time and like sometimes weeks and weeks to think through like what does an ideal solution look like for me, or how do I want to feel in these scenarios. But then like when you're actually in real life, you're like, okay, I have to make a decision right now. Like I can't just like table this very real conversation that we're having for like 6 weeks from now after I've had a bunch of therapy appointments, you know? And so there is like very much, I think, a learning curve in being able to like put those best practices into place, but in a way that's like realistic.
Well, and I think too, because that's like the way, like this will come up in another episode, but the way I always describe my anxiety is like the the episode from The Office where Meredith, right? Yeah, they're sending her to rehab, or where is she?
Michael tries to kidnap her and send her to rehab against her will.
Yeah, and it's like, I can't remember. Is that the Christmas episode?
Yes, because she gets drunk at the Christmas party.
Yes. Yeah. And she's like, wait a minute. And I'm just like every time, like anytime something serious starts happening, my brain is just like, the fucking SpongeBob meme.
Oh my God, that's
my
so
brain
funny.
is mush.
Like, it's funny, but like it's not funny.
No, it's not funny in the moment. It's funny now.
But no, like that's kind of what I mean. And so I want this space to be a place where we're talking about that kind of stuff and like being honest and real about it. And also I think it goes without saying then that this content is probably going to be like validating media and or like maybe like cautionary tale media in a way. But
that's the best way to learn is from other people. I tell you what.
But it's not the like evidence-based practice, educational, bare bones content. Like that's what the main channel is for.
Yes.
But this is not that. I want this
humanizing, personal.
Yeah, like humanizing,
from the heart.
Real ass.
But these are our own experiences and like
this is like our real ass fucking life, man.
Speaking of, so what's in our baggage today?
I'm so excited. We're talking about our decision to be child-free because I think there is a lot of nuance there.
We have gone back and forth.
Yes, and I think we also have kind of a interesting personal perspective about it. Everyone that I've talked to when I've like explained that we've decided to be child-free is like confused by the way that I explain it.
Well, now I want to hear this. How do you explain it to strangers? Because normally I'm around or like
but what I mean is that like I think for a lot of people it's common to hear explanations about being child-free as the like I never envisioned myself as a parent or like I've never had a draw towards being a parent. I've never envisioned myself that way.
Which
and
was
so
not
it was
your
no, that was not my experience at all.
I know, especially those first couple of years of our marriage were like
I had baby fever
and I was not.
No.
I think
you were kind of that way.
I think I'm thankful. I think I've kind of been on this path for a long time.
Yes, I think so too.
And like I think I would have warmed up and done a great job. And
we would have been good parents, I think.
We would have been wonderful parents.
That's true.
We would have fucked him up some way.
Obviously,
but generally, we probably would have done a pretty good job. Which is also too another thing to unpack is like that's also not a good attitude. Is this competitive nature and like we're gonna be the best parents.
Yes,
and everyone's gonna
and my kids' success and like like being a good person is like reflective of me and my value as a person. Like, I hate that because it's just like turning your kid's life into an achievement of yours. Like they're not a video game.
Like the weight of raising an actual like full ass human being who's like cognizant and aware and can make their own decisions.
Oh my God,
scares the shit out of me because I would have such even like now as it is like the pets. Even the pets alone, like the dogs act some type of way, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You're bringing this like, why are you doing this to me?
Why would you embarrass me in this way?
This is not how you act. This
Literally,
is not, it's not me. It's not
anytime that we bring them like into PetSmart or whatever, and they're like acting all like not right, I get so embarrassed, and it's like it activates this shame response for me, which like I think it is like fairly human and common, but like I feel that pretty strongly with just our pets, and I can't imagine
with a human
how much work we would have had to do to unlearn that shame response in terms of having kids. And like I do want to be clear, I think there are lots of things about our decision to be child-free or like lots of things that influenced our decision to be child-free that could have been worked through. We could have addressed them.
Oh, we would have we would have figured it out and like had we had.
Yes, and I want to be clear that like if someone is experiencing this, it's not like a sign that you're supposed to be
oh my God, that's not what this is, to be so clear.
No, it's just that I think for us, we in evaluating all of this stuff made the decision that like I don't want to do that, right? The amount of work and effort and unlearning and energy and time that we would have had to put in to unlearn these things that would have made us potentially problematic parents felt all too much for a thing that like we didn't really have enough of a draw to make it worth doing.
Well, I think too, like, and I know like as kind of like a slippery slope, but like the polyamory and stuff too.
Yeah.
Not even for that sake alone too, but like just like this unlearning of our general cultural.
I'm a sippy cup hater, and this is why.
Did it spill?
There's coffee on my boob right now.
What do we do?
I just wiped it with my shirt.
Are we trucking along?
Yeah.
Okay, keep it all in. Keep it rolling.
I'm just mad.
Editor, keep it in.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be an asshole about people who give me sippy cups, but I don't like them.
I know sometimes they'll ask for the straw and like putting the straw in though. Like the plastic, the sound of plastic rubbing on.
Ooh, yeah, you hate that.
It makes my skin want
and the sound
to.
Of
if I could just take my skin off and scrub it, like I would so happily.
Hate that.
Oh,
yeah.
I have.
Well, also, do I just feel like a fucking asshole being like, oh, yeah, thanks for the sippy cup. Can I have a fucking straw? Yeah, and it also just looks...
I know.
It's
also, we have so much anxiety about asking for
yes.
If so, we're definitely if someone brings our order out wrong.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know, though. It depends.
We used to be the people who, like, if our waiter brought out a fucking dookie on a plate, we'd be like,
thank you so much for the food.
Well, goodbye.
It's an avocado.
No, literally.
Yeah.
I think now we're, like, slightly better about it.
We obviously pick and choose. Like, if we're like, that one time, okay, for real though, total tangent. We got to talk about Olive Garden.
Did we have a bad experience at Olive Garden?
No, the great experience where they hooked us up with when they got your order wrong.
Yes.
So we've been.
Oh my God.
We ironically started eating at Olive Garden again.
Yeah, as like a
it's
joke.
Because also too, the like one Italian place, it's so expensive. Everything's so expensive. We ironically started eating there again,
and now
we just kind of. Okay, now to be clear, we do not eat there. We are Olive Garden to go people.
I love that you make this distinction.
It's a difference.
To everyone that you explain
I feel like
as if that makes a difference.
I just want to eat breadsticks and chug Alfredo sauce and watch the Kardashians. Like 100%. I don't think. Also, side note.
Yeah.
The season is trash. Like
it's so bad.
I've never seen them. Also with like the religious, not even undertones anymore. They're just like
we're gonna talk about it eventually. Anyways, moving on.
Sorry, but get me back on track.
We're Olive Garden people now, I guess, because mostly I just really like eating breadsticks
and Alfredo. It's the Alfredo.
Yeah, if you don't put in that, get the like, it's under the appetizer section. It says like dipping sauce for breadsticks, and it comes with 6 breadsticks. I think. I'm telling you, it's so good. But the thing that makes me especially mad, people probably don't know this because I don't really talk about my parents ever, but my parents met at Olive Garden because they were both servers at Olive Garden. And so growing up, anytime that we would go, my mom and dad, we would sit down and like order our food and whatever. You know, they give you your little breadsticks and stuff. And my mom and dad would always ask the server for a boat of Alfredo.
It used to be for free.
Yes, because my parents worked there and they were like, we're telling you, like, this is so good. And so like I just grew up eating breadsticks with a boat of Alfredo on the side. And so then Olive Garden
smartened up,
turned it into an appetizer. Surely, like obviously enough people were ordering it that it became a thing.
Your parents may have started that trend. And
I'm sure that all of the
TikTok
servers
had been
probably
around,
did
that would have been your
but now you have to fucking pay for it, and it's like actually kind of expensive.
Capitalism is work.
No, it really is. But it's really fucking good though, and like mostly, for being honest, like I'll eat the Alfredo with like the chicken and like the real food.
We know what we're there for.
We're there for that breadsticks mostly.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be so for real.
Yeah,
and I'm fine with that.
Me too. What were we talking about before this? Anyways, I guess all of that to say, we're talking today about our journey and our decision.
Unpacking.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Because it's the name of the...
That was a good one.
It's not up here, but like in theory it would have been.
We did think about getting neon signs actually, but I'm really
so glad
that we didn't because I like how
look
the
at
wall
this.
turned out.
People, you can probably sit in here, listen to us talk, and then you trail off.
Yeah.
And you zone out, you enjoy the wall, and you zoom back in. Oops.
I'm really excited that the wall ended up being a merging of new and old stuff too, because the shitty artwork has been in the closet in our other...
Collecting dust. It's so sad.
Which was really depressing. I did intend to put it back up when we remodeled, but then it just didn't
It just never worked with the stripes and stuff.
So I'm glad that we can
How did you describe the wall?
The general gist, like there were a lot of different keywords that we used in terms of searching for stuff, but mostly I think the wall is just like the inside of my brain. Like this is what the inside of my brain looks like all the time. It's like chaotic.
I'd like to think mine's a little
and
more organized.
Loud, but also really fun.
It is really fun.
It's like if you just sort of let go of it being chaotic and it making no sense, it's like a really great time.
You just get to enjoy. Like you just don't ask questions, just enjoy it. It's like a Fast and the Furious movie. Just watch it at face value.
Sure.
It's like if Fast and the Furious was gay.
Did you know I've actually never seen any of those?
You're not really missing out on anything.
I've never seen a singular moment of any of those shows.
I feel like I don't even know what there is to.
I know
it's about like a family.
Big thing that everyone says that, and I don't understand.
I don't know what that means. That's just what they say.
I don't get it.
They say that.
I don't get that.
It doesn't really matter. Cars go fast. Dudes are dudes.
Yeah,
action.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It does seem like very aggro,
there's a lot of testosterone.
Like very hetero. You know.
As some might say, alpha.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew, I hate that.
So
I don't like that. Okay, so do we want to like start at the beginning and kind of explain what our deal is? Also, hi, thanks for coming, by the way. You're listening to...
Hi, welcome.
There's a lot to unpack here.
20 minutes in, and if you made it this far and you were waiting for the intro, sorry to keep you waiting.
Sorry, this is episode 1, and we're talking about our journey to be child-free people today.
I'd probably say we'll tighten this up, but it's probably not going to happen.
No, we're not really good at that.
I would expect this level of...
Yeah, for those of you who were on the Patreon before and listened to Vaguely Therapeutic when it was in its original form, you'll recognize...
You know what's coming.
This energy.
Speaking of energy...
Yeah.
Take us off, baby. Where do you want to start?
So I think the first thing that I want to lead with, well, actually, a question. Do you want to talk about this in a chronological fashion? Or do you want to just like sort of start?
I think we certainly can try.
Okay.
We can do our best.
Yeah. And that's really all we can do.
All we can do is our best. And honestly, if you take anything away from this episode, it's just try to do your best.
It's that. Yeah.
And that's it the whole time.
Okay. So
brought to you by
ew, I hate that. Generally speaking, to clarify a thing I said earlier, we, or at least I especially, did not start out with this intention or like strong feeling.
Quite the opposite, I'd say.
About being child-free people. Yeah, if anything, I was one of those people who like always envisioned myself as being a parent one day.
Yeah.
I had like this very strong drive, and like
we had baby clothes at the house.
Yes, I still have a box of like a little. It's like it's literally two things. It's a onesie and a pair of shoes.
But still so cute.
I know. It makes me cry. I'm like not ready to get rid of it yet, I don't think. Because there's like grieving. But anyways, I started out being this person who like had this strong draw towards being a parent. And to be clear, I do still love babies. Like the smell of a newborn baby is the most comforting. They're just so cute. I don't have that. They're so, and they're squishy. They're worms. I know. Worms. I don't know what it is. They just like, they make me so happy to hold them. Like they're so sweet.
I guess.
You know?
They're so pure.
Yes,
I
think that's what it is. Like they're just
you have
so
to touch them with
pure
gloves.
And sweet. Yes, but also they're just like, especially when babies are little, and they're like little cuddle bugs, you know.
Oh,
and
they
just you can like.
I've never like really had a
when
baby.
they're if it's like a not fussy baby.
Oh.
You know, and they just want to like cuddle up on you and take a little nappy. Like they're just so cute and sweet. I think it's the same feeling that a lot of people get about like puppies and kittens. You're just like,
yeah, I do love a good puppy. I won't lie. I know.
Like it's floppy,
I love when their teeth get all. Their teeth are a little like little nail files, and but it's like
so
sweet and cute. They don't know what to do with them yet.
Yes, yeah. But like I think obviously when we first got married, we were not ready for all of that. Because
I'm not even quite sure we were ready for that at that point. In retrospect.
Yeah, to be
getting married at 20
we were 20 years old because
it's a hell of a drug.
We couldn't have alcohol at like because we went to like dinner.
Oh,
For those of you who don't know, we got married when we were really young. We were high school sweethearts, and then we got married and moved in together and like did all of the relationship escalatory things like pretty quickly.
So fast.
But we also got married at the courthouse first because we didn't have money for
we saved up for a really long time.
Yeah, because we were poor. I was in college. You had just barely gotten your first job, basically. Like we were not equipped. But so we went to like this dinner thing for our like reception after we got married, and we literally had to toast with soda. I have a picture of it. But yeah, so we were not ready for all of that. And I think in some ways we've always kind of been the like, what is the term people use? Rainbow sheep?
I have never.
Instead of using the term black sheep, because it's like a little bit off-putting.
Okay.
Saying.
Oh, I like that.
Me too.
I like that.
Also it fits because
it
gay.
feels better. Yeah.
But yeah, so we've always been kind of like the outliers in our family.
Yeah.
And at the time I felt very comfortable in being like, no, like we're not having kids yet. Like we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And so we just ended, I think it became kind of a weird game of chicken.
Yeah. Well, like there's always something going on. Like we always kind of had something. You're working on your work, on your degrees.
Yes. Yeah.
I was working.
Yes. And then we were moving, and then we moved again, and then we moved again. Yeah. And so it was all just like, and then I had like just gotten my license, and like then I just.
You didn't want to get pregnant and like.
Yeah. And then
stop working immediately after getting started.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so I think we kind of started out doing this thing where like, I had still, or at the time, I still envisioned myself as becoming a parent one day. Yeah. I still had a strong desire to do that.
You wanted a soccer team or
I think I literally said that on camera at one point.
I'm pretty sure
I wanted like an entire softball team's worth of children.
Yeah. That scared the shit out of me when you used to say that.
I really did, though.
I was like 1 or 2 and I'm...
Well, but also too, because we both grew up with a singular other sibling. And I distinctly remember it being very lonely when I was a kid. That like, especially if you don't have a strong bond with that sibling or if your like personalities just don't align, then like what the fuck do you do now? And so I had
might as well be an only child at that point.
Yeah, I had a really strong desire to have like a bunch of kids so that there was this like community. Yeah. And I think this is another thing. Like this is where we started to do the unlearning.
Oh.
Part of that was also a desire to have my own family that felt like home.
We talked about that. Yes, like the chosen family thing. Like, well, it's fine. We'll just make our own.
Yes, like very much. There is a Harry Styles song actually where he talks about like you can have your own family who will like never hurt you or like never hurt your feelings or whatever.
Matilda, right?
And it was that. And so I started to realize like, wait, hold on a minute. Like after we decided to open our relationship in like a more official capacity and think through all of this relationship escalator stuff that didn't work for us anymore, I started doing work with my own therapist about like what other things am I chasing in my life
it's like this
that
stuff
aren't actually like reflective of my value system. And I realized that my desire for community and for family and to feel seen was a large majority of what pushed me to want to become a parent. And so I just didn't feel good about making the express and an intentional choice to bring many other human beings into existence solely for the purpose of soothing my own childhood wounds. Like that made me feel super icky having that realization.
Well, and I think too, and like kind of picking back off of that, I think there's a quote. I can't remember the quote. I'm going to do my best to remember
fair.
it.
I just butchered Matilda, so.
Fair enough, which is crazy because I know alone I've heard you listen to it at least a million times alone.
I do love that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the quote. Like sometimes the kindness thing you can do is not bringing someone into this world because obviously just existence alone, not to sound like a nihilist or anything like that, but like especially in the state
anti-natalist, to be clear,
especially in the state of affairs of things right now, especially like after all the Supreme Court stuff this last fucking week.
It's scary.
Just to like timestamp this episode.
Yeah.
But like it's so fucking disheartening and disappointing just like constantly on a regular fucking basis.
It's scary.
And I think it's hard to have like any get up and go and like
to have like a strong desire to do that.
The amount of I think I guess like this could be generalized. At least in my opinion, I think like our generations and stuff, like younger ones, just have more moxie than older generations because I think to some degree, like they got to just not even to some degree, like they very much got to just show the fuck up.
Yes,
and
especially
like
boomers.
Be and like
the stars on like a societal and systemic and governmental and
I'm sure on an astrological level too as well. Honestly, we're probably all in their favor.
Yes, everything just kind of showed up or like aligned in a way that they could just show up.
No Saturn return for them.
Everybody has a Saturn return.
I know, obviously it was a joke. But yeah, no, like I just think like the amount of moxie you need to live these days. I feel like it's just different. And also, and I can't imagine what that's going to look like by the time we have kids who are old enough to. And I know, like, obviously not to discourage anyone from having kids or anything, but just like from my own point of view, like it's just, I think the kindness thing, at least for me, is to not force someone into existence
that like
may
might
have not
cause them to suffer.
Yeah.
I think also too,
it's like a big heavy topic, obviously.
Yeah. But I think this is an important time for us to pause and also clarify that none of the things that we're going to talk about were the singular one thing.
Oh God, it was
the combination of all of these things that then added up to us making the decision for ourselves that like we just are not wanting to do that.
Yeah.
I think like lots of people have anxiety or fear about bringing kids into the world, but
which is totally fair and normal and valid.
Yeah,
and like
of course.
But
like that in tandem with like a strong desire to have kids and like all of the like identity work and like all that stuff being situated and like not conceptualizing parenthood as a sacrifice, like all the other things. We're going to talk about some of that in a minute, but like all of that stuff. I know if you have those supportive factors, then bringing kids into the world in a world that is kind of scary is like not, I think, for a lot of people enough of a reason to say I don't want to fulfill this like desire for parenthood, but like for us it was like all of the things all compounded together that we were just like never mind.
I think something else too that like really stood out to us too was like the thought because like obviously I know it's like a very normal thing to see your child as an extension of you, at least from my understanding,
developmentally and
but like the thought that they would like other things aside, and especially like let those be things that we like very much have a strong and like I'm sure it's like the like the kids in those days and their music and like
I know
they don't listen to music like they do back in our like blah 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 like what the fuck ever
whatever
like to that degree, but like also like political and like social and like things like God, like at least for us, like God forbid they like sports. We were just not sports people.
Well,
I don't think I could do.
Like I have strong opinions. Like listen, I have 2 degrees.
The hot takes are getting ready to
about
start.
The human brain. Like I have extensive education and knowledge about human development.
You remind me regularly.
And so like, God forbid we end up with kids who want to play contact sports.
I know.
I'd be like,
but also I wouldn't want to stop them.
Yeah, but
I
that's
don't
the
want
thing.
them to not do what they want to do.
Like stifle them, because also too, like in some ways I am frustrated that I didn't get to play more sports.
Same.
Or like
we talk about that all the time
when we were kids. Yeah, and so like I would want them to have those things, but then I'm like, I don't want you to play football because your brain is precious. I don't want you to do gymnastics, especially if you're a femme presenting or AFAB person, because that is just a very dangerous activity, like physically, but also like for all of the surrounding circumstances, right? Baseball's boring as fuck. I'm not doing that. Volleyball is steeped in like the male gaze, right? And like, to be clear, I know that not everybody's experience with this is that way, but like just because like when
like generally speaking, like in like a large scale,
any sport that you bring up to me that like, oh, your kids could play this, like I will find a reason that I would object to my child that I either created or like have participated heavily in raising and nurturing, that I would be like, no, you are precious cargo, baby, and like you're not doing that.
And that's the other thing too,
like,
is like
we're not endangering you
as like being anxious little beans though. Like these are also things again that we have like to some of these, like they're not based in fact, they're not based in like sometimes not even based on reality,
anxiety
and like how we feel about things. But like to us, those are valid enough reasons to not. But also, I don't want to tell some kid like our kid,
do that.
No, you can't do that. Well, why? Because I said so.
Because I'm nervous about it.
God,
like that
fucking,
sucks. But also then the idea of like trying to nurture our kid through our own like dealing with my own anxiety about like them constantly being wounded.
Oh, and also, don't get the education stuff. You would never be able to. You would be I can already.
Well, and also we live in a conservative state.
Yeah.
And if we're being quite honest, we don't have fucking money for private school. And also, I have my own like moral and ethical objections to kids being sort of sequestered into this very exclusive, privileged environment. Like I don't love that either.
The Good Place got it so right with like that last bit with like the you can't do anything. There's not anything you can do, and I think that's the other thing that sucks too is like there's no. I think especially for you who as a very ethical and like moral
very
and
fixated on it.
Yes, like it's very hard. I think
that was a major anxiety that I had for a long time, was that I have done a lot of trauma work. I've done a lot of therapy, and I've worked through all of this stuff so that when we at the time, my thought process was when we have kids, I won't traumatize them in the same way that you or I were traumatized in childhood.
Yes, and I feel like there would have been so much of a
But except that then you end up traumatizing your kids in this whole new way by being these anxious people who are fixated on accidentally traumatizing them, and your kids can sometimes absorb your anxiety because you're so dysregulated all the time.
Pokemon.
Yes, it's so stressful.
You just get something different.
That freaked me the fuck out. And I was like, okay, well, I have to work on my anxiety. I can't be anxious. I have to be cool and zen and chill. And then I was like, okay, well, we're going to suppress their fucking emotions so much. No one
talks about anything in this house. And then you're left with me.
God forbid we traumatize them. Yeah, like it's all a thing.
Now they don't know how to fight and have conflict.
Yes, yeah. You end up like everyone ends up traumatizing their kid in some way. Or like kids end up with shit that they need to work through in therapy anyways, because it's impossible to leave your personhood at the door when you're being a parent, and like that freaked me the fuck out.
Same.
That was just really difficult for me to sit with. And I don't know that I would have dealt with
and the academics thing we talked about too, like it was just a hard, because
you and I we grew up with a very particular set of values about academic achievement, and like we were both the straight A,
didn't have to try in school.
Yes, we both were just sort of naturally
try hard fucking losers.
Yeah, and I think it would have been really hard for me to have a kid if they didn't
have those same,
or also just like even just value that, if they weren't just like wanting to be high achieving people, which like in some ways I wouldn't want them to, right? Because it gave us the worst anxiety about our own performance, and like this shame complex about never being able to relax or like not give everything your all the time. Like that's exhausting.
But also
that's traumatizing. But then I think if our kid just like happened to be this person who did have that like better balance of not being like sacrificing their
so
own
much one way and
to be overachieving, like that would have pushed my buttons. I think I would have had a hard time, and that would have been work that we would have had to do. And like again, I don't think that we would have been unable to do that.
No,
like I'm
absolutely.
confident in our ability to have unlearned that at some point, but like still again in like concert with all of the other things going on, I was like, is this really worth it? Is this a journey that I really want to embark upon, knowing full well that it's going to take a Herculean effort to put my best foot forward in this regard? You know?
And I think too the other end of that too being then like, so would we go so far, because like we talk about this regularly, that when we were in school we're like, why the fuck did we try so hard? What was the point? Well, literally, what was the point? Like,
literally, if I could go back, I would just be such a stoner. I would just sit around and like smoke weed at school and do nothing.
I work the dumbest blue collar job ever and still make more money than you.
Yep.
And like I tried so fucking hard in school. Actually, I think I had better grades than you in school. I did have better grades than you in school.
You did.
I definitely, but I was like, I don't want to go to fucking college. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
which also too, like, look who's laughing now, because student loan forgiveness just got struck down again. Literally.
Like, I know they just keep digging that fucking.
Yeah.
I'm not paying any money on those loans.
I feel like we just keep
should have taken out the business, the PPP loans.
Someone literally tweeted that the other day. I saw that. They were like, I should have taken out a PPP loan to pay off my student loan debt.
No, literally. Like, why did we not fucking do that?
It's so sad.
Oh my God. If I could go back in time, I would have been like, we need so much. Like,
well,
just
also
all
at
of
the
it.
time, I had no idea what a PPP loan
Same.
was.
I don't know how businesses run.
No, I don't. I don't
Bo
know
body.
But no, I think the concern about like, would we have veered too far the other direction and turned our kids into like just go to school.
I don't give a fuck about nothing.
Yeah, like that would have been so.
Tell
like,
your teachers to fucking eat dirt.
That's not good parenting either. Telling our kid like, high school doesn't really matter, honey. Who gives a shit? Like, the world's gonna go up in flames. Oh my God, no! That would have been so like, our kids would have been constantly in trouble.
Like,
you know?
who knows if we're gonna make it another 10 years? Just like have fun with it.
Oh my
you know,
God.
like,
also too, like, talk about the anxiety from telling your kid that.
My parents told me we're not gonna be here in 10 years.
Go up in flames.
Yeah, go tell all other kids at school that. Oh my God.
Our kids would have been the most unpopular kids also.
Or the most popular.
But also too, if we're being super real, that was another fear that I had. I've heard people talk about like what happens when you throw a birthday party for your kid and like no one shows up.
Oh God.
Or like, you know, your kid.
I know how that feels like.
Or like your kid, you know, like tries to make a new friend at school and they get rejected. And like, what are you supposed to tell them?
That hurts my heart so bad. Yeah,
I'm not
built.
It
I'm not
literally
built for
makes
that.
me want to cry, and these children don't even exist.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even real kids. They're figments of our imagination, and I could cry about their feelings getting hurt.
No. I'm not built for it.
No.
I'm not built for it.
Not at all. Like, even like when we used to take Savannah to the dog park and dogs would want to play with her, I'd be like, it's okay, baby.
Yeah, you don't need them. You come on. I know, but then you have an enmesh. Then you're your best, your kid's best friend. Like,
which is also bad for them.
Like, I think that's also the other thing too, and that doesn't make it like you shouldn't have kids or whatever too or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like so much like everything's a trap.
It feels that way, which I think again is like probably a reflection of our own anxiety about needing to be high achieving, grade A. Like, we need to, if we're going to be parents, we should be the perfect parents, right?
There's only one way to do it. It has to be this way.
Yeah, that's not real. It's perfectly and you know, it is entirely possible for people to be imperfect parents and to still like do lots of correct and right stuff.
Well, and I'm curious with, because I know we talked about too, like with Jean and sex education and stuff too, but like how would you have been able to distance yourself as a therapist and like being a mother like still?
Our
like,
kids
how
would
would
have
that
been so
even...
mad at me to be like, could you fuck off? Like, could you stop asking me about
like
how
that.
I feel or like where I feel that in my body?
It'd be a fucking...
It would have been really annoying.
Was it a no underwear family or whatever?
A naked family?
A naked family.
Yeah, we would have been a naked family for sure. But like in the emotional sense.
Yes.
You know? But yeah, so I think we started to have conversations about all of that, especially because I started doing my own work around it in therapy. And then we started having conversations mostly like around the time that quarantine and COVID and all of this happened.
Like Roe v. Wade getting ready to come around.
We actually had a plan. Like, we sat down because at the time, this was like 2018, 2019. That I had terrible baby fever. I wanted to have a baby so fucking bad.
I can't believe we got through that time.
I was struggling. I was like crying a lot, and I had like had a lot of just like emotion.
Well, I think it's crazy too because we talked about it too because like you watched a lot of the like.
I used to watch a lot of like pregnancy vlogs and like what I brought to the hospital with me, and like I consumed a lot of that content because I was like, oh, this is going to be me soon. Like, I want to know about like all I know like a disproportionate amount about childbirth and pregnancy and
you
like
are in the know.
Early postpartum because I consumed a lot of this content and like would actively look up advice about like what to put on your baby registry and like all this stuff.
I know, you know, like I remember people having kids around us and you'd be like, oh God, they should not be doing that.
Yes,
and
I'd be like, well, that's an unsafe product. Yeah. Like, why do you know that?
Yes.
But at the time, it was because I had this really strong desire to do that. And because I was feeling that like relationship escalator shame of like, we are not real adults. We're not finished and we're not like fully grown up until we've become parents.
Yeah.
And because we were so high achieving and we got married young, I think to some degree,
it's
that was
just
also
like,
a
it's just you're going to do, you're just going to like this.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we did it, right? Like
yes.
I successfully found a partner. We got married. We're very happy. We
the game of life.
Like,
we're
we did like the car, the house, the pets. I have a college degree. We both have jobs, right? Like,
look at us go.
Let's have babies.
Yes.
Yeah, like we should. That's what we do, right? And like, I think culturally, also, you and I both kind of had the realization that in our family structures, having babies is a very like celebrated and like socially favored thing.
I'd say more so in yours, not so much mine, because I think
fair.
that might be for different reasons.
Yeah.
Why somebody was encouraging us not to have kids.
Yeah.
That might be for different reasons now.
Oh my God.
Looking back on it, are you having an epiphany?
Oh, that's
no names will be named,
hateful.
But somebody being like, "Oh, it's okay. You don't have to have kids. Just wait. Don't have them." I think they were trying to ride out the. I think someone was trying to ride out the storm.
Oh my God. Anyways,
too deep. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
I don't even think that's an episode for the podcast.
No, we're going to have a private conversation about that because I have feelings. But no, I think a lot of that was like this pressure that I felt too, that like, I know that I will be celebrated and like surrounded.
You get the status.
Well, and like also too, it's this thing, like especially because I grew up in a Mexican family, people surround expectant mothers with like love and support and community and validation. And I wanted that.
Because otherwise you had not been given that at all. Like even from you.
Okay.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But I mean like that was something that was like very like.
The theme that is like probably continuing to emerge for a lot of you who are listening is that I had a really strong desire to feel seen and to feel loved and accepted in community, because that was something that I hadn't really felt up to that point, or like that I hadn't felt enough to create a wound that I needed to work on, right? And so that was also adding up to this picture of like babies. Like I want to have babies now. And like I want to, because like I had felt like we had checked all of these boxes, and that was the last one that I was fast. Like, I need a gold star on my resume, babe. Why won't you knock
like that was
me
the
up?
last that was the last one. Oh my God, what a sentence.
And so I'm really, really glad actually that the timeline lined up in the way that it did, because when quarantine happened and COVID happened, I started working from home. We started working on the channel more. Yeah. And then that blew up and our life changed. Life changed so dramatically after I stopped working full time and started working more consistently on the channel. And because we weren't able to travel and like do all of the stuff, like
the things we normally because we had like several trips.
We told ourselves 2022, I think. This is how anal retentive I am.
Yeah, because we had years. Yeah, we had
fall of 2022 is when we were going to start trying to have a baby, so that ideally, if we conceive during that time, that our baby would be born during a time of the year that I wouldn't be incredibly uncomfortable while it was hot outside, which is just wild to think back that like we really had that conversation. We were like really in the weeds about it. And so when all of that happened and we weren't able to travel, because I told you there's like a couple of things that I want to do for sure before we get pregnant and have kids. One of which being that I want to spend like a really long vacation in Europe. Yes. I want to do like a longer sort of like nomadic style vacation where we pack like a small bag and just are like gone for a couple of weeks, you know, and like sort of like meander around. Like the idea, I still want to do that, to be clear, but like COVID fucked our shit up. And so we weren't able to do that. And then I was like, wait, hold on. Like, I really like our life right now. I'm really happy. And we haven't gotten to do the things that we wanted to do. And so like wait.
We were waiting for the expiration date or something like.
Yes. Well, and then we started to hear more and more from people and like friends and people in our chosen family about how parenthood changes your life, sometimes in ways that are inconvenient and, you know, like obviously because they're tiny humans, right? They need a lot of support, and rightfully so. That's like the way that it ought to be. Yeah. But I was not ready for that because I felt like COVID stole like 3-4 years.
Oh, absolutely. So we said we'd push it back.
Mm-hmm. And then in the process of us pushing it back, we were like, can we?
Because I was like, I don't even
push it back some more.
Yeah, no, for real. Like,
push it back again?
I was like, I don't really. Personally, I was like, I don't really care when we decide to do it now at this point.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that came into mind too a lot was like the high riskness.
Oh, yeah, that was another thing. Mm-hmm.
And like medical fat phobia generally, and like you were like.
But also too, I'm a person who's in chronic pain. Yeah. Like I just live in pain for most of my life, and the idea of like I literally had an appointment with my primary care where I said, like, can we please do a full check and like run through of everything, because like I'm in this like unexplained at the time, like completely unexplained pain. I have no idea why I am suffering as much as I am.
Yeah.
And the idea of getting pregnant and throwing off my center of gravity and then like putting all of this stress on my spine and these vital organs is very scary to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why I'm in the pain that I'm in. And so therefore I have no idea what I could potentially be walking into in terms of risk factors, right?
Well, and I think for me too, the thing, like the scariest thought for me was like, I don't know how I would cope or handle
you've talked
raising
about this
a child
before.
by myself.
Oh,
knowing,
it's gonna make me cry.
I know. Well, but like I'm so for real. Like I don't know if I would be able to be the bigger, like I don't know if I'm capable of being that bigger person that could like
makes me so sad.
Raise a child knowing they would have potentially been the reason that you like may have not made it or like been in serious pain.
The idea of having to raise a child without you like is
no way.
Ew, I hate that.
I'm sorry.
but no, for real, like the idea of living without you is the worst thing that I could ever think of.
Well, and I say that all the time too, and I think another one of the sad things to me about is just like you're just such like a big, giant, huge person.
I know you've said that a lot, which I think is really interesting because I don't like necessarily.
I don't know. I think
you're
like a larger than life character. I don't know. I think you're
so
like
sweet to me. Which, to be clear, like being a mom is an incredible and like Herculean feat. Like
which is why
being
like
a parent is like such a huge accomplishment and responsibility, and like it's a sacred role. I think.
Yes,
but I don't disagree. I think I'd be really sad about seeing you not have time or energy to focus on creative projects and like see you fulfill yourself,
honestly,
you know? Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying in the sense that like I think you are such a wonderfully and like beautifully complex and like multifaceted person, and it would like hurt my heart so much. Ew, this is just like the episode where Mickey cries a bunch.
What a first episode.
I know.
You're doing great.
Thank you. It would hurt my heart a lot to see you not be able to fulfill like dreams or goals of yours, or not be able to like prioritize that time.
Yeah, and that's
because like again, being a caretaker to a whole ass human being is a sacred thing that you should concentrate a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, I don't want to.
You know?
And that was the thing we talked about too. We don't want to half-ass it.
Seeing your fire be like smushed down would make me sad.
Same for you. Yeah.
You know?
And I think I wonder that too, because if we had, because these were not conversations we were having when we were younger.
No.
So if we had children around the same time some of our peers and friends were, like,
and also at the time that people were pressuring us to, like a bunch,
like
the amount of pressure that we put on people to hurry up and have kids is not okay.
It's not.
The way. Please don't do that. If you're a parent listening to this, or just like people generally, please don't do the thing to your kids where you're like, when are you having babies? When are you having babies? When are you having babies? Because like it's uncomfortable. Well, like why are you asking me about me and my partner's genitals?
So inappropriate.
But B, like that's none of your business. Like there are
also, like, is it for them? Is it for you?
Yes.
You know, like
yeah. Well,
like, who are you asking for?
That was another thing that we talked about a lot, is that you and I both felt kind of an expectation or like this desire to fulfill the role of like we wanted to make our parents grandparents because we knew that they wanted that.
Yeah, and then we were like, are we doing this for us?
Literally.
Like we just kind of we were eating. I can't remember what we were eating, but I was like, "Is this for us?
Probably
like, are we
Garden,
choosing to? Probably. Yes. I don't think we were in an Olive Garden girl phase yet.
There was also a road trip that we took. Actually, we went to a winery. I think we went to Dos Cabezas, and we were driving there.
Okay.
Because I remember the road was really windy, and it makes me a little stressed when we drive there.
That's fair.
Not because of you, just because I'm stressed about driving.
Not because of me.
Listen, driving stresses me out.
I'm kidding. Go on. I drive like a maniac though. So
no, a little.
I do.
But we were driving there and like having this conversation about kids.
I do remember that now.
And we both started talking about like all the things that we've already kind of unpacked. And we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, are we not going to have kids?
I know.
Like,
I mean, that was like the first little.
Almost like we kind of like said it out loud to each other to float. Like, does that make you upset?
With this?
Or like, are we allowed? Are we allowed to?
No,
think that?
It felt like we had to I felt like we needed to ask someone's permission.
Yes. Like
we're
is this an okay thing for us to feel?
Is it okay if we just don't do that? Actually, we decided we didn't really like it. Like, can we order something else, please?
Yeah, there was like a lot of fear and I think a little bit of shame, especially for me at least.
Yeah.
In saying like, actually, this isn't a thing that I want, and I don't think it will enrich my life enough for me to deal with the sacrifices, which is another thing, actually.
Go ahead.
We talked about it a lot with like, well, maybe not a lot, but like a fair amount, I would say, with friends and chosen family and other people. And one of the things that I would say is that like, well, you know, like having a kid is like such a sacrifice. Cause like to me that feels obvious.
I feel like that, I mean, that's my, I would want it to.
A fair amount of the people that we talked to who did want to have kids were like, what are you talking about? Like, people were like, you keep saying that as if it's just like a ubiquitous understanding, and like, babe, it's not.
Yeah,
like,
we had a different, like, I think from the get-go,
views parenthood as an inherent sacrifice. And I was like, hold on a minute. Like, you're telling me that you guys actually had kids on purpose. You became parents on purpose, and it didn't make you sad. The idea of like abandoning your old life. And they were like, no, like, what are you talking
that was
about?
Not
and
my
I was
experience.
like, hold on a minute, because I thought everybody just conceptualized parenthood as like this thing. Like, of course you would need to grieve your old life. Like, I was like,
I kept waiting for the thing to like set in to like be like, okay, now I'm ready.
Yes.
I'm situated. I kept waiting for that feeling of situatedness and like, okay, I've done all the things I wanted to do.
Yes.
And then like it just kept not happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, when is it going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm curious about your experience with that, because I feel like, I mean, we've already talked about how I had this really strong, you know, like baby fever thing. I really wanted to have a kid. What was that like for you, not really having a draw towards that? And I was like really firmly on the train of like, I
think that probably aggravated and like forced a lot of my decisions or like things.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, because I was like, oh my God, we have to get so much of this stuff out of the way. And like we have to take care of this and this and this. And we need to do this and go here and do this and see that. Yeah. And then like as soon as all of a sudden when we were like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. And it's like, oh, I have time.
Oh,
like it's okay.
Is that the car thing?
Kinda, yeah.
Interesting.
No, yeah, it's very much like I need to get as much of this in. I need to get as much of this. Like
I felt that about travel a lot.
Yeah, no, it's like the same thing though. Like if we don't do it now, then like we're never get to do it. And the thing we talk about too with like the retirement thing, and like I don't want to wait until. Well, also let's be fucking for real. We're working until we're like 95 years old at this rate. Did you see that thing about people living older?
Yes, I
you're told you about it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, I have to live longer. When are we gonna retire at 80? Like fucking 110.
To be clear, I don't know if this was like evidence based, but I saw like a think piece or whatever
that like
about how like our life expectancy might potentially. And I was like,
can it just
out
not
to like 150?
Yeah, that's so long to live. Fuck me.
Like, I'm
also, the way
in
people
pain,
look now at 100, like unless you like really, you got to put in the work then to be looking good at 100, like feeling good at 100.
That's what I'm saying.
With
just
these
to, like,
knees, I'm out of here.
Because I mean,
roll me around. I'm gonna look like the little worm from SpongeBob. Asking where the chocolates are.
I don't know that I really want to deal with a continually escalating amount of pain for that length of time. I like at that point I might be like, listen, I lived a good life.
Hopefully get some cool gizmos and gadgets put on you at that point. But like, I'm gonna need some new legs.
Transplant my essence into a little robot. I want to be in a robot.
If we could pick to be in an animal or something, but no,
I would want to be a robot.
I want to be a millennial dog.
Wait, that's such a good idea. If I could get my likeness transferred into another being, I would want it to be a millennial's dog.
I think that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Just constant treats and cuddles and attention.
So much love.
Yeah. Our dogs are the most spoiled beings on the face of the planet. You know, that was another thing that I worried about.
We would ruin our children. They would be brats.
Yes.
Like, also, they'd be like, we don't have to do that. Literally. They would like grandparents, like not for them. But also, no hugs from us.
Also, too, our kids would have such smart little mouths. Like and they would go to school and like.
I'd like, that's funny. You said that.
Remember, I told you that like we live in a conservative state, obviously, and so we're continually learning and unlearning about how racist and problematic our primary school education was.
Yes, all the time. I feel like, did I even go to school?
But like no, literally.
What did I even learn?
But for real, if our kids went to public school and learned this racist shit and they came home, I'd be like, that's fucking wrong. And they would, I guarantee you, they would end up going to school and being my mom told me that you're a fuck ass because you told me some racist bullshit. So like you're an agent of white supremacy. Also, and like we would be getting constant phone calls and I'd be like, but are they wrong?
Also, they would have a vernacular like none other. They're just so many beeps and boops and sounds. They'd be like, that's not, they'd call something, they'd be like, what is, like, that's not anything. And they're like, oh no, my parents say that all the time.
Our kids would go to school and be like, yeah, my dad power washed my teeth this morning.
That's the, if you don't know a power washer, it's the
water pig. Aaron calls it power washing his teeth.
It's the same thing. It's pressurized water.
I don't disagree.
You're pointing and shooting.
Can you imagine being a teacher and hearing that a parent power washed their kid's teeth? You'd be like, what?
I'm calling
your parents
right now. Hit them up.
Yeah. No, our kids would have smart little mouths and they would be in trouble constantly.
Rude.
But then they would
be so fucking rude.
But then they would come home and I'd be like, good for you. I'm proud of you.
Great.
That like we're just not. I think the thing that we've discovered is that we're best suited for being like the cool
aunt and uncle,
or like I
wish there was like a gender neutral term for like aunt or uncle.
Same.
The uncle.
But also too, like just the like support people for like our chosen families kids, you know, that like if those kids like had a weird day or like got in a fight with their parents, like I would want them to feel comfortable to come over to our house and like hang out and like, you know, I can text your mom and let them know that you're okay and you're safe, and then give you a ride home after you guys are like done with your beef, you know, like absolutely. I feel much more suited for that role than I do for like primary caregiver.
Exactly.
You know?
So then we still get our space.
Well, and then also too, I can, you know, tell these kids these things and their parents
can
be like, don't fucking say that at school. Don't call people that, or like, don't tell people that.
But sometimes too, like you know? Also like you definitely could have said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a perfect place to.
I think so too. That's so cool. We wrapped up almost at exactly an hour. Actually.
Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can do this.
Good for us. All right, cool. If you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast, like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. This will be available obviously on video on YouTube.
We're putting it in real podcast places.
Yeah, it's going to go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
I don't know how to do that, but we're going to do it. If you're listening to it, that means we did it.
Yeah, everybody say thank you to Hannah for teaching me how to do that.
Thanks, Hannah.
Did it for Things We Hate It. So yeah, let us know what you guys are, what your guys' thoughts and feelings are. And what you guys want to see. We just wanted to host a conversation about it because
thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. I think that's it. Thanks so much for coming, and we will see you guys next time.
I'm gonna finish out my spicy water in the meantime. Intro music, take us out.
All right. Yep.
Bye.